Maurice Scott's comments during Carlos King's Monday Night Live did not come across as a misunderstanding or a simple mistake. What viewers witnessed was a pattern that has been visible for a long time, and this conversation only made it clearer. The discussion focused on his therapy session with Kimmy and his explanation of intimacy, connection, and sex. From the very beginning, it was obvious that Maurice was speaking from a limited place. His words felt narrow, surface level, and disconnected from the emotional reality his wife has been trying to explain for years. Maurice framed intimacy as something purely physical. He spoke as though timing, endurance, and physical ability were the only things that mattered. There was no depth, no curiosity, and no emotional awareness in how he described the situation. Instead of showing reflection or growth, his comments felt dismissive. Many viewers were immediately uncomfortable, not just because of what he said, but because of how confidently he said it. It sounded like he believed he had solved the problem, even though the real issue was never addressed. When Maurice stated that men do not last as long as women in bed, he presented it as a fact that explained everything. He spoke as if that single statement covered the entire disconnect in his marriage. Dustin Ross attempted to help clarify the point by explaining that men often reach orgasm faster than women, which is a known biological difference. But instead of using that moment to dig deeper or reflect, Maurice doubled down. He continued speaking without acknowledging Kimmy's actual concern, which has never been about timing. What made this moment troubling was the complete lack of emotional awareness. Kimmy has repeatedly explained that her issue is not about how long sex lasts, but how it feels emotionally. She has been clear that connection, effort, and emotional safety matter to her. By reducing the conversation to physical endurance, Maurice showed that he either does not understand her needs or does not care enough to try. That realization hit hard for many viewers who have lived through similar experiences. Maurice spoke as if intimacy starts and ends in the bedroom. That mindset ignores everything that happens before that moment. It ignores communication, kindness, attention, and emotional presence. For many women watching, this was not just frustrating, it was familiar. It reflected the same tired pattern where women explain their needs over and over, only to be met with shallow answers and excuses. When Claudia Jordan joined the conversation, the tone changed. Claudia did not come in attacking Maurice or trying to embarrass him. She spoke calmly and honestly, sharing her own experiences and explaining what intimacy feels like for many women. She made it clear that she was not speaking in theory. She was speaking from lived experience. That difference mattered. Claudia explained that a woman can deeply love a man and still feel unfulfilled sexually if there is no emotional connection. She said that when a woman feels mentally disconnected, sex can begin to feel like a task instead of a shared experience. This was a powerful moment because it put words to something many women struggle to explain. Claudia emphasized that intimacy for women often begins long before anyone gets into bed. She gave simple examples that immediately resonated: a thoughtful text during the day, a gentle touch while passing in the kitchen, a sincere compliment that shows effort and care. These small actions build emotional connection. They create desire. They make a woman feel seen and valued. Claudia made it clear that these things do not require money or grand gestures, they require intention. Claudia also explained that for many men, physical contact alone can bring pleasure. For women, it often does not work that way. The mental connection matters just as much, if not more. When that connection is missing, even someone who is physically attractive can fail to satisfy emotionally. Sex without emotional buildup can feel empty, rushed, and meaningless. This explanation highlighted exactly what Maurice seemed unable or unwilling to grasp. Claudia was offering insight, not criticism. She was explaining why Kimmy's concerns go deeper than timing. Yet Maurice appeared stuck in his own understanding. His earlier statement about men not lasting as long as women felt less like an explanation and more like a defense. It sounded like an excuse meant to shut down the conversation rather than open it up. One of the most powerful moments in the discussion was Claudia's comparison about steak. She said that both partners may want the same thing, but one is fine with it being rushed, while the other wants it cooked properly. The desire is there on both sides, but the process matters. For women, being rushed through intimacy can feel disrespectful and unsatisfying. Wanting care, time, and attention is not asking for too much. It is asking for consideration. Maurice's reaction, or lack of reaction, made it clear that these words may not have landed. Instead of reflecting, he appeared defensive. This is not new behavior. Throughout his time on the show and in interviews, Maurice has often resisted feedback, especially when it challenges his views on masculinity and relationships. Rather than seeing these conversations as chances to grow, he often responds with dismissal. Another moment that stood out was when Maurice shared that Kimmy wants him to treat her so well that other women would want him. On the surface, that might sound flattering, but in context, it revealed something deeper. Kimmy seems to be using reverse psychology, hoping that encouraging him to improve will lead to better treatment. The fact that she feels the need to approach it this way is heartbreaking. Many viewers reacted strongly to the statement. Some pointed out that Maurice has made so many dismissive and sexist comments over time that it's difficult to imagine other women finding him appealing. His words come across as cold and lacking empathy. For someone who is highly educated, his emotional awareness appears extremely limited. This disconnect between intellectual intelligence and emotional intelligence continues to show up in his behavior. The frustration viewers felt is rooted in a shared experience. Many women have been reduced to stereotypes and expected to accept minimal effort. When they ask for more, they're labeled as difficult or demanding. Maurice's comments fit directly into this pattern, which is why they struck such a nerve. Wanting connection, affection, and care is not unreasonable. Sex without emotional safety and respect can feel empty or even uncomfortable. This is not a new idea. Many women have tried to explain this for generations, yet some men continue to ignore it. The comparison to stories like The Color Purple came up for a reason. Intimacy without love can feel dehumanizing. When sex lacks care, it becomes transactional instead of meaningful. Another issue discussed was how some men approach women with entitlement and roughness, even when there is no emotional connection. This behavior shows a lack of understanding and respect. Being gentle, thoughtful, and attentive should not be seen as weakness. These qualities are signs of maturity. When men fail to understand this, they push women further away. Maurice's repeated failure to grasp these ideas raises serious questions about his willingness to change. Therapy only works when someone is open to listening and reflecting. Simply showing up is not enough. Growth requires humility and accountability. From what has been shown, Maurice appears resistant to both. The chat reaction during the live interview reflected widespread disappointment. Many women shared that Maurice's comments reminded them of past relationships where they felt unseen and undervalued. Some talked about how long it took them to realize that emotional neglect was not something they had to accept. This conversation went far beyond one couple on a reality show. What makes the situation even more frustrating is that the solutions are not complicated. Claudia laid them out clearly: attention, effort, communication, affection. These are achievable things. The problem is not that Maurice cannot do them, it is that he may not believe they matter. There is also a larger conversation here about how masculinity is defined. Some men are taught that providing financially or being physically present is enough. Emotional labor is often dismissed. When women ask for more, they are seen as ungrateful. This mindset creates resentment and emotional distance over time. Kimmy's situation is especially painful to watch because she has been patient and clear. She has expressed her needs calmly and repeatedly, yet she continues to be met with defensiveness and shallow explanations. Carrying the emotional weight of a relationship alone is exhausting, and many viewers worry about how long she can continue. Wanting satisfaction and connection is not selfish. Relationships are meant to be partnerships, not obligations. When one person consistently dismisses the other's needs, the relationship becomes unbalanced. Maurice's comments also highlight how some men confuse sexual frequency with sexual quality. More sex does not fix the problem if the experience feels empty. Quality matters. Feeling desired matters. Feeling safe matters. These are not extras, they are essential. No amount of physical appeal can make up for emotional carelessness. This is something Maurice seems unwilling to accept. The frustration directed at Maurice is not about attacking him as a person. It is about holding him accountable for harmful ideas. Public figures who share their relationships invite discussion. When outdated views are repeated, it is important to challenge them. This conversation is also a reminder for anyone watching. If you are constantly explaining your needs and being dismissed, that is not a communication problem. It is a respect problem. No one should have to beg to be cared for. Claudia's honesty offered a refreshing contrast. She spoke with vulnerability and clarity. Whether Maurice truly heard her remains uncertain. Change is possible, but only with willingness. In the end, this situation is about more than one comment. It is about emotional intelligence, respect, and the refusal to grow. These discussions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary. Silence allows harmful thinking to continue. Speaking up creates the possibility for change. Whether Maurice accepts that responsibility will determine the future of his marriage and how he is seen moving forward.